are live. Zahra Nia, thank you for joining us in the Heerbz Co show. Zahra Nia, you are a tech consultant, Fabletics ambassador, and science guru on Instagram. It's literally an absolute pleasure to have you on. Thank you for joining. How are you?
Great. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm good. I'm sitting here and it's kind of sunny in London, so I'm feeling good. Yep.
I know we get very few of these days, right? It's a
Very
miracle.
few. Yes.
Um,
And my friends in other countries can't relate, but yeah, very few sunny
it's
days.
like when you describe, I mean, this is common knowledge to everyone, but when you want to say you live in London or you live in the UK, it's like there's an equal sign rain. That's all people think about, like rain.
Literally. Literally. I know, yeah.
So, fun story we're actually discussing before we start recording is me and you met on Instagram. So
Yes.
this is well, I don't want to say 2020 because it was earlier than that, but this is the generation we live in. Just people randomly reaching out on Instagram, and I like the content that you post, and I hope you don't feel like I was one of the creepy people on Instagram like floating about as well. I'm sure you got spammed by a lot of the content I used to post, but yeah, it's been fun since we've exchanged a lot of valuable information.
We have, yeah, and I didn't. You didn't come across as the creepy guy. Don't worry.
I was waiting for
But
that.
yeah, the only Iranian who was not that creepy. No, I'm kidding. But no, it's so interesting because back a few years ago, if you said to someone, "Oh yeah, I've made friends with someone on Instagram or on the internet," they'd be like, "Oh, be careful." It's a bit of
Yeah.
a weird, like gray area. But now it's becoming such a common thing, and I know so many people who have met literally through Instagram, and they've become good friends. And it's such a good platform and tool. And I think if you utilize it well, you can get a lot out of it. So yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, this is, and it's so good that I'm having this conversation with you actually, because this is the time we live in, right? I mean, look at just what happened post COVID. Look at how everyone's working from home. We thought it would be impossible. It's going to be the norm now. I say, I saw somewhere in the news, I don't know what the source is, that they said maybe even 4-day work week or something. I
Oh,
hope I'm
I'd
right
love
on that.
that.
That would be the dream, right?
Yeah.
But related to
Yeah.
that, you are in tech. You're a tech consultant. Now, first of all, anyone that hears that, they're like, "What's a tech consultant?" Myself included. So please,
Yeah.
actually, before we dive into that, tell us a bit about your background. I think I got so excited about the tech consultant bit that I jumped right into it. But tell us a bit about your background and like, have you always been in the UK? Yeah, just give us a summary of what you've been up to and where you're from.
Yeah, so I'll keep this as short as I can because I could talk about that for hours and
Please
hours.
go ahead.
Um, but yeah, so I'm Iranian. I was born in Iran actually, which I think not that many people know. And I've mostly lived in London and been in the UK from around 5 years old. So I'm 23 now. So it's been a while. It's been a minute. And yeah, so Iranian, very proud Iranian. You can see from my Instagram posts and things like that it's kind of it's a big deal for me, and I'm very proud of our culture. And
As
yeah,
you should be.
so exactly right. And I like to think I speak Farsi well, but I think I have a hint, like a little hint of an accent, which really annoys me. So I'm trying to do
We'll give it
better.
a try once we stop recording.
Yeah, we'll give it a try. But yeah, I've always lived in the UK. I've lived in other parts of the UK as well. I used to live in Wales, which is like a cool fact. And a
Nice.
city called Swansea, which has beautiful beaches and really friendly people. Some of my best friends are from there. And then also mostly in London as well, and mostly kind of West and Southwest London. And yeah, apart from that, I went to university in London as well. I went to Queen Mary. I did a science degree. I did chemistry with kind of specialization in pharmaceutical chemistry. I thought I wanted to work in pharmaceuticals. I tried it for a little bit. And then I realized that I'm actually really interested in technology. So from then, I kind of jumped into tech.
Yeah, that's really interesting actually, because there's a lot of people, myself included, for the longest time, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I like how you thought you wanted to do something and you went for it. And then by doing that, you're like, actually, I think tech is more where I want to be. And I think that's one key thing in my 30 years experience in life, I've learned is like so many people I hear that are stuck that I just don't know what I want to do. But one thing I found is the key is to do something. It might not be the right thing. I mean, I chose accounting as a complete risk. And being quite frank with you, I don't really enjoy accounting. I do like reading financial statements. That's about it. That's where it stops. It helps with my investing, let's say. But
Right.
it's by trying something and realizing what you do and don't like that suddenly other doors open up. It's just making the move and getting active with something you want to do. Do you find that's kind of played a part in your life at all?
That's such a good point, because what I was about to say was that if I didn't go to do that job in the pharmaceutical company that I worked for, and that was a wonderful company, and the people I'm still friends with, and I had a really great group of team, like a really great team around me, but it was just the job that I didn't particularly think I could do, for the rest of my life. If I didn't do that, if I didn't do the job that I did not want to do, I would not realize, oh yeah, I actually want to do tech. So it was, for me, it was kind of on the route. It was almost like on the plan. Even though initially I thought, oh, I maybe just like wasted a year doing this, but then I realized, no, actually I actually met someone in that company, in the pharmaceutical company, who I then realized, oh, I could do tech. I didn't realize that I could do this job as a technology consultant. So I think what you said was so spot on. It's like you have to realize from doing what you don't want to do to then kind of getting on to what you do want to
Exactly.
do, if that makes any sense.
No, definitely, definitely. I mean, I totally relate to that, and I'm sure a lot of people listening will relate to that as well. But you briefly mentioned how you met someone from tech in what you were doing. So that was my next point actually. It's like, how did you get the exposure to tech to suddenly say, oh wait, this is what I want to do? How did that happen?
Yeah, so the great thing about jobs nowadays, and I think what we're lucky with and what we're blessed with, is that you literally have so much information at your fingertips. And it sounds so cheesy. You can like literally, you have like so much knowledge on a phone, right? But what I did was that I realized, oh yeah, tech could be something that I could enjoy. I did kind of do some tech events when I was at university, because I knew a couple of my friends were doing it, and they were like, yeah, come along. It could be something you could do with your chemistry degree if you don't want to go into lab work or pharmaceuticals, as a lot of people did go into eventually. Um, so then I kind of went to those events, and I also knew someone like from the pharmaceutical company who did it, who then ended up doing that. And then I just researched. I did a lot of research on Google. There's a lot of like YouTube videos as well on what, different sectors in tech and different types of technologies you could work with. So really it's just kind of, it's that willingness that you kind of have to learn. You have to have that willingness to learn to be able to do anything in life. And with the technology industry, so many people think, there's a misconception that they think, oh yeah, you have to be able to code, you have to be
Yeah.
able to have a computer science background. But that's not true at all. There's so many varied roles that you can actually go into tech not knowing how to code, go in with a chemistry degree, or I know someone who went in with an English degree, but they just really were keen. And if you're keen to learn, that's that's the best thing, really.
Man, you hit the nail on the head. Like, absolutely killed it there. This is what I just feel, for example, something as simple as YouTube is so undervalued. There's so many
Literally.
again, like in the like passive income space, there's so many of these fake gurus that are selling you courses for like $9,000,
Oh
$5,000, I
God.
don't know how
Yeah.
much. You can get the best education on YouTube, or if you do want to pay for it, look, there's a lot of education that's good, that's worth a bit of money as well. Of course, I 100% agree with that. But somewhere like Udemy, for example, where you can pay
Hmm.
£100 for a really good course, like I want to learn Python, and I think that's going to be valuable for my career as a supplement to accounting, because I think my industry specifically is going to go through a lot of change, especially with machines and all. So
With
I got to go
tech,
down
yeah.
that route. Exactly, tech. So I need to kind of start sharpening my tools in that area. And Udemy is amazing. It's you get
I
50
use it all the
hours worth of
time.
courses. Yeah, it's unbelievable. And
Yeah,
then YouTube, all this free content. Like you said,
literally.
researching about the industry. What do the pros say? There's so many YouTube influencers that do like a day in the life of. One of my colleagues at work, um, his YouTube channel is Corporate Steve. So he's recording what it's like a week in the life of a corporate professional. And these are things that you wouldn't get before. Sorry, I'm just getting, it's saying my internet connection is unstable for some reason. Are you hearing me fine?
It was for like, it was for a second, and now you're okay, I think.
Okay, awesome. All right.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
But yeah, my point being that it's, we just have so much at our fingertips, as you said, and people don't take advantage of it. And again, what you said really related to me, because I always thought it's like, man, there's a big barrier from between me and tech. Like, oh, I don't know how to code. Maybe I should learn how to code before I like look at anything techie. But
Hmm.
that things like this, like speaking to individuals like yourself, really breaks down barriers and it helps people understand all you have to do is the willingness, like you said. It's how bad do you want it. There's
Literally,
people that
literally.
can go into an office and literally everything's online, but there's people that can still show up to an office and hand their CV, and say, listen, hire me, I'm looking for a job. People have stopped doing that. It doesn't happen as much anymore. So willingness is key, and that's what stops a lot of people, I feel.
That's so true. And the biggest barrier, honestly, this sounds cheesy, but it's true. The biggest barrier is yourself, is your mind. It's you thinking, okay, I can't do this, or oh, this is too complicated, or oh, I'll never get to this stage. And what you soon realize is that little by little, it's actually not as bad as you think. Like anything I've done in life, initially I was so scared of it. And initially I was a barrier to myself, really. I was thinking, oh, I couldn't do that. I could never work in tech because, again, I don't have the experience, or I've never worked with computers before, really. And then you realize, no, like you can. And I work with a specific software now called Salesforce. And before I joined the team, I was like, that's not for me. Like I used to do like titrations in chemistry labs. I don't do Salesforce. Like, what is that? And then you realize that no, if you want to, you so easily can. But I think emotionally and mentally, it takes up such a long time for us to stop being a barrier to ourselves. And I think once you stop, it's like you can literally do anything. And that sounds really like cliche, but it's so
But
true.
it's a truth. It's fear is a, fear and uncertainty or doubt, if you want to relate it to the crypto investing space, FUD. It's massive in people. It stops people from making that first step, and just fear of failure. I think people need to be comfortable with
Yes.
failing and understanding it's part of the process. You need to fall in love with the process. And what is it? What was that quote? It's like the journey is the destination. So
Yes.
fail 100 times, that 101 time you'll succeed. 101th,
Literally.
if I said that right.
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes that's actually on my wall is success is moving from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm. And I think I can't remember who said that. I think it must have been Churchill who said that. But
Love it.
it's such an incredible quote, because like I think people think you've always had that success, or you've always been good at that certain thing
Yeah.
before, but then it's really that loss of enthusiasm which is the real failure. I think when you're moving from something that maybe you didn't do well in to the next thing, if you lose your enthusiasm, and if you lose doubt, if you have doubt in yourself and you lose faith in yourself, I think that's where the real failure comes from. Because like you said, not being afraid to just kind of go and do it anyway, and knowing that it's part of the process, it's so essential.
Yeah, we have actually similar favorite quotes, by the way. I've got mine.
Oh, do we? Okay.
I have a display picture of Michael Jordan. I used to until I used my wife's one, but basically it was my favorite quote ever is by Michael Jordan. It's like, I've missed I don't know how many thousand shots in my career. I've been trusted with the game-winning shot this many times. I failed over and over and over again, and that is why I succeed. So that one like really
Literally.
hits home, and that's all it is. It's having a system instead of having goals. It's understanding that, okay, 1% better every day, like being consistent with what you want to do. Yes, there's going to be days that suck, and I'm using the example of me training for like sports competitions before. There's going to be days where
Right.
you doubt yourself, and it's just showing up again the next day and constantly, because subconsciously, without you knowing, the muscle memory works. You are improving whether you like it or not, if you do put the effort and the time in, regardless of whatever you do. It can be your job, it can be sports, it can be a painting that you're painting, your house, anything. It's just showing up every day and doing something. Compound effect. I love how this has gone into a
Mhm.
motivational route, by the way. Welcome to the
It has.
Heerbz Co show. This is how we roll, people.
Yes.
So
Yes.
tell me more about you as a tech consultant. What's that like? What do you get up to? Enlighten me, please.
Yes. So the term tech consultant is very general, but you can work with very different types of technologies. The consultancy I work for and the team that I specifically work for, like I mentioned, we work with a CRM software called Salesforce.
Yeah.
It's basically like SAP and Oracle, but a different version. And I like to think it's a kind of a prettier version because it looks more new and aesthetically pleasing. But what I do with that is I do configurations with the software. So I have to basically know how to use the software quite well. Within that field, there's certifications and qualifications you can learn with your specific software, which kind of every kind of few months there's little upgrades. With tech, you need to be retraining yourself all the time, which yeah, some people might think. And initially, I kind of saw it as a bit of an inconvenience and as a bit annoying. But then I think tech is literally the industry that's moving. I don't know, is it seconds? I don't know,
Always,
minutes, every minute, always there's something added to it, whether it's the software side, whether it's a new Tesla or whatever, there's something added to it. So you have to be willing to be kind of on your toes. You have to be willing to adapt to the new upgrades and things like that. So I think if anyone wants to go into tech, they have to be aware of that. They have to be aware that it's constantly changing. And if you as an individual don't embrace change, it might not be the industry for you. But if you like change and if you kind of take it in your stride and you think, oh, this is a good thing, then it can be a wonderful area. But as a day-to-day kind of routine, it depends on the project you're in. I work with kind of different clients. So it really depends on what your client wants, and you have to be able to adapt as a consultant to what your client wants. I'm sure you know that as well, working in finance. So you do that. I do Salesforce configurations, but I also do kind of a more business analyst role, which I would present a demo of the Salesforce kind of system that we've built for the client, which means basically just taking them through the whole thing. It's almost like a presentation, but I'm like doing it on my computer and I'm taking them through the system. And I would also do workshops on the system that we've built to answer any questions. And what you're doing is you're basically presenting tech to people who've never even seen the software, or who've never even seen of a CRM software, or who've never heard of Salesforce. So even though you have to be quite in detail with it, you have to keep it high level, which is kind of sometimes difficult to do.
Yeah, no, I relate to that big time. From a financial point of view, it's like,
yeah,
I don't want to say it like that, but slightly dumb it down for everyone to understand.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. And I think that's a skill, though. I think if you can do it, I'm still getting better at it, but I think if you can dumb things down a little bit, I think Einstein said, I don't want to keep on quoting people. This isn't like a motivational,
Quote all
like
you want. Quote away. This is it. The motivational episode. This is what we've been waiting for.
Yes. So I think Einstein said you never really understand something unless you can explain it to your grandmother. And if I try and explain what I do to my grandmother, I'd have to really bring it like super, like, low detail and like super high level and keep it very general. So I think, and that's really important. I think it takes a skill to do that, to be able to take something so complex and then make it into like a bite-sized little presentation. So again, that kind of, it depends on how good your communication skills are and things like that. And again, I'm trying to improve on that. But yeah, that's kind of what I do on a daily basis. It can change if my client changes. That's kind of the consulting side. But yeah, I do enjoy it because there is that aspect of something new all the time. And yeah, I'm lucky that I've got a good team and everyone is very supportive, and the culture is quite relaxed, whereas I think other consultancies maybe aren't. So
yeah, the work-life balance seems to be a
yeah.
bit of an issue in I mean, forget our industry, but consulting for sure. So it's good to hear
Definitely.
that it seems like the work-life balance is quite good where you're working.
It is. It really is. It's different to the other tech consultancies, I have to say. Not to bash them or anything, but it is different. It's that you can kind of instantly see. Yeah, I won't mention any names. I'll get in trouble. But yeah, I think you have to, before you join a company, don't just look at the salary. And if someone's paying, I don't know, 5 grand more, and go for that job, know that maybe that 5 grand is you may be working an occasional weekend. And do you want to do that? Maybe not. So it's you have to be very conscious of the culture of the company, and how that's really important, because it does play a day-to-day role into the culture, into how you are, mentally.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the next thing I want to dive into, is like mental health at the workplace. And it's very good to speak to someone like yourself, because we can see the benefits of how important it is for your surroundings to be positive and be focused on your health, and say, look, the job that needs doing will be done. But after these hours, of course, there's going to be busy periods, I'm sure, as everyone else has. But like on a regular
Yeah.
basis, Zahra, thank you for, contributing. Go, do the rest of your day, whatever your personal life is. Whereas now dipping into my example, and people have heard this before in the podcast, is like horrendous long hours, which I've made a conscious decision since January, which is also when I handed in my notice initially. Newsflash, everyone, I'm actually staying on longer in the company, but that's another story.
I saw on your Instagram, I kind of saw this, and I was like, oh, okay, it's good that you, if it wasn't working, you did kind of do something about it.
Yeah, I voiced it. And personally, I just made a conscious decision to, there's a point, I'll be honest, there's a point in life, and I'm sure like from my friends in investment banking also, they had the same mentality. It's like when you start out, you wear it like a badge of honor, and you're like, oh, I've worked this many hours. I mean, myself, I was like that. I was like 18, 19 hours easy, that's what we do. And then you reach a point, you're like, wait a second, this is taking away from my personal life. I'm selling my time to this company, and it's affecting my health, it's affecting my surroundings, everything. So it's just not worth the paycheck. And once you make that conscious decision to clock out at a certain time, and you don't care what happens, whether the building burns down, you just feel much better. And honestly, it feels so good to not think about work on a weekend, or not even be working on a weekend. So I fully support what you just said. Please, for anyone listening, look beyond the paycheck. Work-life balance, like the company culture, is absolutely key for wherever you want to work. Not just from a work-life balance either. I mean, the people are very important. What vibes do you get from them? Is it a toxic environment where people criticize you and it's not constructive criticism? Like, can you grow there? Can you improve? Or is it just people putting you down? Do you feel, Zahra, that you've had good mentors in your current position?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I think mentorship is really interesting, because mentors can be three things. And I got told this a while back, and it really stuck with me. So mentors can be kind of helpful, unhelpful, and just like neutral, like nothing really particular. I guess that's almost unhelpful, because you're not really going anywhere. So you can have if you have a good mentor, then that's really good, because of course that person can just be an example for you. I have had some good mentors. I think every time I've had a mentor, it just happened to be female. And I think especially in tech, I don't know if we were going to go into the females in tech group, but I guess we can kind of smoothly transition, do a
That was
smooth
your plan from
transition
the
into that.
beginning.
It was. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I think you have to really be able to see someone that you can look up to, and that person being your mentor would be a great thing. And just kind of having conversations with them about how you can develop as an individual, professionally and personally. I have had a few good mentors, but I think at the end of the day, mentors are great, and I've actually been a mentor once. But if you're not kind of willing to put in the work yourself, and you're not willing to kind of make the changes yourself, then it's not going to go anywhere. But what mentors can do is really just give you the knowledge, and tell you, oh, by the way, you can do this, and or I did this, so you can also do it too. There was kind of a more senior woman who's my mentor, and she's great to look up to, because she's female in tech, and like almost all of her other kind of senior level colleagues are all men. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I think there is, of course, that a big gap in tech, especially when it comes to females and males. And that's kind of something that's really well known. But yeah, so I think having a mentor who is someone that you could see yourself being in a few years is really important. And just that person existing, because you think, okay, I can actually get to that senior level, which then kind of brings us to the topic of representation and how key that is, and seeing, you know, women of color, men of color, you know, in positions that you want as well.
Yeah, no, it's super important. And I love what you said about how there's a certain amount that mentors will do for you. I've had the same experience as you. It's more them opening a door and saying, look, you can do this, and it's totally up to you. And I feel before experiencing that, my idea was, and a lot of people's might be, is, oh yeah, I just need a mentor. They'll like hold my hand and I'll do everything while they show me everything. No, that's not the case. It's like they'll say, look, that's a direction, head in that direction, and you figure it out yourself. But the other benefit of it, as you said, is someone that you might have some relation to. Like, for example, you're saying in tech, there isn't as many women. When you see a top level female, you're like, oh, it's been done before, so I can do it as well. And that is instantly
Exactly.
something for you to work towards and maybe try and surpass someday. That's very important, to have these kind of checkpoints. I don't want to refer to people as checkpoints, but you get what I mean. It's very important to
Yes.
see them that way and let it drive you. Damn, this is such a motivational podcast. I think I'm gonna go like send job applications after this to people.
I love it. I love a good motivational video. I actually, it's so cliche, but I don't care. I listen to those motivational videos on YouTube. I listen to Oprah Winfrey speaking about, you know, like she's such a big like motivational speaker. And yeah, I love it. I think if it helps someone, if it inspires someone to do something, why not? So yeah.
Absolutely. It's motivational stuff I find are great to start with, or like for the early phases. And then every
Hmm.
now and then dip into them, and like whenever you're lacking it. But overall,
Yes.
consistency and having a system in place is what gets you across the line. And it's again accepting that there are going to be days that you're going to not be the biggest fan of what you're doing, but showing up anyway. That is key.
Literally.
That's what I'm trying to apply to everything I do. And I feel the people that I've seen succeed in what they do, they have that element. I mean, a great example is my former bosses, who actually are my mentors. Um, Genius German guys, unbelievably successful. And I know for a fact, and I guarantee you, they are in the office today working. It's like
Right.
weekends and bank holidays, and COVID does not apply to them. They show up every day, and that's how you get an advantage over someone. It's like you're putting in those,
Consistency.
exactly, just
Yeah.
that extra 8 hours a day, and that adds up
Hmm.
eventually, and you've got an advantage over people. But
Definitely.
jumping on to the next topic, you have been very active on social media, specifically Instagram. I will obviously include your handle in the bio of this episode so people can follow you. But I love how you're kind of educating people on a science level. Actually, before I jump into that, I forgot one thing. You did mention challenges in your industry are presenting things in like a dumbed down version. Are there any other
Hmm.
challenges? Because I feel like work life seems fine, environment seems fine. That was one particular area, but is there anything else that's a challenge for you?
Yeah, I think it goes back into the representation thing. So this isn't my company, because I like to think my company is a bit more on the diverse side, but also I think every company in tech, if I'm being honest, and even my company would agree that they still need to do better. Is just getting more underrepresented people in technology. I think that's always going to be an issue. Well, I hope in like 50 years it's going to be much less of an issue. But if I'm honest, I have other friends in different consultancies, kind of our competitors, and they all say the same thing. How they say, "Oh yeah, I'm very used to being the only woman in like a meeting with 12 other guys," and that's very much how I am. Almost all my kind of team are mostly male. Um, and there's, I think, very few, sometimes a few software developers that are female. But yeah, I just think a challenge that the whole tech industry is something that they should tackle. And I think so many women speak on this all the time, and they should be speaking on it all the time, is really just getting more women into STEM and science and tech and engineering in general. And I think the way you can do that is really through telling them what's out there. letting them know that you don't actually need to, you know, be a certain way or be incredibly good at maths. Because I think I heard a girl say to me once, I did a talk like 2 years ago at my university, and she was like, yeah, I'd love to go into tech, but I'm not very good at maths, or I'm not very like scientific-y or like with data. And I just wanted to say to her, like, those things are not prerequisites. You don't have to be you don't have to be super numerical, or you don't have to be super kind of good with maths or anything like that to do a certain job. You can learn a lot of the things about technology. You can learn a lot of the things about any industry. You just have to want it. And so I think that's kind of the biggest issue, I'd say, is really just getting more individuals who are underrepresented into technology.
Yeah, that's interesting. I really, I mean, I suppose I can't say I ever knew that there was a lack in women in the workforce of tech. I always
Mm-hmm.
knew it was kind of in financial services, you know, because it was always this
Oh, is that
alpha
the case?
testosterone environment. That's what I thought. But
Right.
now that you mention it and I think about it, so yeah, tech is. I haven't met that many women in tech apart from yourself. Actually, I'm trying to think if I've met any other woman besides yourself in tech. But no, it's interesting to hear that, and I suppose yeah, it is a challenge. Like you do want to increase that workforce of women in that area, and I'm sure in the next 50 years there's going to be a lot of changes much sooner. Trust me. Already, financial services. I was speaking to a friend of mine the other night, and he's in the private equity field, and he's like, look, the people that were in charge of us, you know, they're used to a totally different time where it's like, you know, you're in the office and you maybe find one woman and it's all alpha males fighting, bro, you know, Chad,
Yeah.
as we like to say. And
Yes.
now it's like you're getting more women, and there's less discrimination, and hopefully most places no discrimination. And, you know, the women do just as good, if not better job than the men. So
Mm-hmm.
it's great to see this type of change. And of course, not just women, but like people of color, everyone's kind of
Yes.
being weighted the same, and or at least we're making a move to the direction of everyone being uh, kind of qualified based on their ability rather than their background or their sex or their gender or whatever. So it's good to see that. But yeah, going back to the other thing I mentioned before I dived into this
Yes.
is that your activity on Instagram, you're posting cool science videos. There was one you posted about clicking your fingers, which I do a lot of myself. And I'm very
Yes.
happy to hear that I can do it in the long term. Or did I misunderstand?
Okay, I don't okay. So I condone it if it hurts you after you do it, then you should stop it, because
Okay, you
you're
just
doing
like
some
clicking
like
it.
bone damage. But what I wanted to say was that I remember growing up and just clicking my fingers, and my mum was like, "You're gonna get arthritis. Your fingers are gonna like bend." And there's actually so much research into it, and that's not really gonna happen. And all the sound is nitrogen bubbles in the synovial fluid. So yeah, what I kind of really wanted to get with my Instagram videos is, first of all, it was kind of like a quarantine project, which I think now and again we're going to see a lot of these quarantine projects that came out when people just got so bored and they wanted to be creative, and they wanted to kind of do something with their time other than just work and maybe go for a walk. What I really wanted to do was to make science really easily understandable for literally anyone, but also to make it somewhat entertaining and fun. And I think a good feature on Instagram is the reels, because the maximum time you can have it is 30 seconds. Millennials, we have a short attention span. That's just science. so
Guilty as charged.
yes, yeah, it's bad, but I guess, you know, if we know about it, we're aware of it. But yeah, I just kind of really wanted to make science a little bit interesting, and you don't, you know, something that you don't need like a PhD for to understand the science behind a topic. I think I've been told by so many people, like I remember at university, I had friends who did humanities or law or something else. They would say, oh my gosh, I hated science in school. I hated the way it was taught. Like, I felt so dumb in science. I didn't understand, you know, any of chemistry, biology, or physics. Like, I just did it to pass and to get to university. And I really, like, something clicked with me where I was thinking that either it's being taught in a weird like way where you're not really understanding it, or it's just not seen as something that's interesting. And I really kind of want to make science something that almost anyone can understand. And like we went back to the thing that we talked about simplifying things and breaking it down. I think the thing that people feel dumb about it, and they think they need to like have a PhD to understand a topic or anything. I really want to break that kind of stereotype about science. So
Which you
yeah, and
have.
I think thank you, and I hope to keep doing that on kind of a larger basis, on a larger platform, as hopefully it grows. But I think we're bombarded with useless celebrity, news and celebrity, like which Kardashian broke up with it, and I'm just like, oh. But if we actually had something like a platform which was interesting and fun, but also educational, that would do a lot better, I think, for our society than seeing
Absolutely.
Kim and Kanye's divorce. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
I'm a big advocate in that. I've actually argued with the missus about this. Like, here's the thing, and I apologize to you specifically if I butcher this because
Right,
I don't know the scientific way of explaining it. But
it's okay, I'll forgive you.
after work there, our brains are so lazy. That's the way I like to say it. And sometimes
Mhm.
putting educational info in there after, like, you put a, let's say, 8 hour shift at work or your own business or whatever, it's tough to kind of get educational stuff. So you do want to watch some relaxing stuff. But I'm a massive advocate, and this is just my personal opinion. I like anyone that does watch Love Island or any of those other reality TV shows, power to you. It's entertainment. End of the day, there's nothing wrong with entertainment. um I like to waste my time. Uh, and it's not necessarily wasting, but it's like if I'm not learning something, it has to be movies. And I love movie scenes. I love seeing actors being good at what they do. I feel like even as my brain relaxes and I'm looking at a movie scene like Inglorious Bastards, I'm
Yes.
still picking up something. Like, it's like, oh man, the camera angle there is pretty cool. That's the way to deliver that line is awesome. So if you do want to relax and if you don't feel like learning anything, maybe check like a movie out because you learn about script writing subconsciously. I'm not going to say anyone that goes and
Yeah.
watches a movie scene, they're not going to be like, wow, that's an amazing script. But again, just my recommendation. However, what I don't agree with, again, myself, um, is watching things like Love Island or like watching content like Kanye and Kim's divorce. Listen, man, I don't care. Like, fair enough. I'm a big fan of Kanye. I love his music. I love the fact that
Yes.
he's killed it in the fashion game with his shoes. Like, that's a successful businessman. 100% I'm going to watch his speeches on what he did to succeed and listen to any podcast he's on or whatever, because that is a formula for success. He became really good at one thing and he built that to a certain level
Yeah.
and he used that platform to dive into another area. So, and I also think, and this is controversial, but it took a while for me to reach here, but you have to give props to someone like a Kim Kardashian because
Yeah.
regardless of the route she took, this person has the power in media. Like, whatever this
She
person
does.
does,
Yeah.
she controls the media, just like Trump does. Trump controls the media. Like, anything he says. So a guest I had on this podcast, my friend Midad Rajay, who tremendous episode, definitely listen to it if you haven't. He was like, he said it, he nailed it. He's like, politics has become boring since Trump left. What are all these media
Yes.
outlets doing? So you do want these kind of larger than life characters that are entertaining. So fair play to Kim Kardashian. Actually, fun story. I worked at her milkshake shop opening in Dubai. So yeah, it was
Did you
called.
get to meet her?
I was 10 meters away from her. I
Okay.
carried the chair and I put the chair on the stage where she sat on. However, me and her mother made eye contact, like, because
Wow.
we're in the back
Kris
room and
Jenner.
they, yeah, Kris Jenner. We're in the back room and the two of them were sitting down 10 meters away from me, and then I was just standing here with a chair. No one else was there. It was just the three of us, and the stage was
Wow.
like behind the curtains. Zahra, it was unbelievably insane because there was a certain point, and like we had to wear these weird t-shirts saying millions of shakes, but we were in Dubai Mall, which is the largest shopping center at that time. I don't know if it still is, but I've never seen people go so nuts and crazy for someone the way they did for Kim
Right.
Kardashian. We were coming down the escalators and there was a barrier that they put, like, ribbons and stuff. And as we were coming down the escalator, people thought we were like, I don't know, bodyguards or like in the crew or whatever which we technically were. But once they saw us, they started screaming because they thought Kim Kardashian was behind us. She wasn't. But I was like,
Whoa.
wow, what is going on here? So
Yeah.
insane story. I love how we
And
digressed.
but no, I think even with that, I actually think of Kim as quite, she could be very inspirational because she's a wonderful businesswoman. And I think even her mum, Kris Jenner, could, she created all these people who are multi-millionaires, and she was the manager for all of them. So if you can literally take anything, you can take a good from anyone, and you can take good advice and good kind of business prospects from anyone. And I think we should be doing that. I think the point I was really trying to make is that actually Kim and Kanye, whatever to them, I think the whole celebrity culture is kind of more about what I was talking about, but also just the fact that we can, I think in the, like things like Love Island and the Kardashians, they can be good, they can be an escape for us, right? They can be a distraction when we need a
Escape.
distraction, when we've had a rough day at work. They absolutely can be. But I think if they're kind of viable sources of entertainment, then hopefully in the future we can have viable sources of like fun educational entertainment as well. So both can exist, and people can be like, okay, so I want to watch this, I want to watch an episode of the Kardashians, or I want to watch like a David Attenborough documentary or something like that. And I think
Shout out
i
David
i
Attenborough.
really, yes, love a bit of David. um so I think it's just, I really hope in the future there's a side of that which kind of makes things like science entertaining and makes it really, almost fun to watch. Maybe it's not going to always be as entertaining as watching some celebrity fight or Love Island or something like that, but I think it should be there, it should be out there, and it should be out there on a higher level and on more platforms. So hopefully that's kind of like what my science videos will reach at one point. So
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
that's kind of yeah, with my science little videos, that was kind of the point.
Well, you're on the right track. I mean, I really enjoy them. I'm sure a lot of people find tremendous value in them as well. I think it's great what you're doing, especially being in this lockdown situation that we've been in for a year now. Again,
Gosh, I can't believe it's been a year. Can you believe it's
I,
been a year?
insane, insane. I
How long
I
have you
might be
been
one of the
working from
guilty
home?
since March, literally since March,
So
a
yeah,
year.
mine's like February. Yeah, literally same.
Yeah, but I did take some time off and go to Dubai and Istanbul for a couple months here and there. So
Oh, I did
I
see that. Yeah, I was very
yeah,
jealous.
sorry, I apologize. But no, it's funny to go to Dubai because I feel like Dubai was Essex for a while. So
Oh
that was
my
really interesting to see
gosh,
that. Yeah,
yes. I
I was
did
about to
see like
say,
literally, yeah.
yeah, and
How do you feel about that? Because you used to live there, right?
yeah, I mean, so growing up in Dubai, and that's the place I've lived the most in my life. Although I think the UK officially, as of last year, makes this
Okay,
place the
cool.
most I've ever lived. But I'll always consider Dubai home. So it was interesting because Dubai always had an English community, and I don't think they like the new wave of people from the UK going in. Like the original English community in Dubai, it's first of all the population's tripled there. So the
Wow.
local Emiratis aren't that many. I think it's, I could be wrong. It might be 10% or less. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
large expat city. There used to be a lot of Iranians. There isn't as many anymore. There's still quite a few, but nowhere near as much as it used to be. There's a lot of other Arabs from other countries. There's a lot of Russians. There's some Americans, but there's a lot of Brits in Dubai. And yes, specifically, I feel like going back to this Love Island thing. I feel like there was not that I watch it, but I feel like some of these celebrities maybe went there, and it's a great place. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it's great weather, lifestyle of a lot of comfort that you experience there, and that's the most important thing. Look, I always said, if I do have children, of course my mentality slightly changed, but I was like, when I do have children, I do want them to go to school in Dubai or something, because safety is key there. People are afraid
Yeah.
of the law and they respect the law. And I mean, the Emirati government gives us so much freedom. I say us like I still live there, but it gives the people there so much freedom to do. They give you access to this amazing environment, and they're constantly building the biggest, the best, this, that. So they're like, all we want you to do is just obey the laws. And I don't know if you saw recently, but there was a bunch of people that there was this video that went viral of 20 naked women on a balcony in Dubai, and they were posing for
Oh, I
some
haven't seen
picture.
that. No.
So this has gone
Oh,
slightly
wow.
viral, and happened this week. There was like 20 women fully nude on a balcony
Oh,
in Dubai, and
wow.
like one of these people, and it was in Dubai Marina, which is an area full of tall buildings. So one of these neighbors from their balcony started filming these people, and it's like this is totally disrespectful to this city. I think most of them have been arrested, and
Oh
they're
my
going to be
gosh.
in a lot of trouble. I'd be surprised if they weren't. Like, you can't pull stuff like this in that environment. Look, some people may argue that the mentality there it's outdated or whatever, but this is what that culture believes in, what that religion believes in, and you're in their land, in what they've provided, the luxury that they've provided you. So abide by the laws. You know, we always did growing up. So we even felt offense at that. I mean, I'm quite laid back. I say, if you want to walk around nude, go walk around nude. Do whatever you want to do.
Yes,
But that area is there, so do respect it for what they are providing you. But yeah,
absolutely.
how I feel about it to answer your question is very, very so. I would appreciate if the rules were respected a bit, because it wasn't, this nudity thing wasn't the only thing. Like I'm sure you've seen the memes, but Five Hotel on Palm Jumeirah, they call it the
Oh,
British Embassy. So
right. Yeah.
yeah, everyone from the UK seems to go there. But I've seen videos of fights happening there, and just a bunch of crazy stuff happening. And we used to be a lot more concerned about, like, if we would get in trouble in a nightclub, a bouncer would just say, "Shall I call the police?" And we're like, "Please don't. I'll behave. I'll never do anything wrong again."
Right.
So
Right.
it's great to see Dubai grow. I'm happy for it in that sense, but I also wish the new wave of people going in there would respect it more. And a lot of them are. I can't blanket everyone. There's friends of mine that have moved to Dubai from here, and they just see
Yeah.
opportunity, which that land has a lot of, and they're taking advantage of it in a good way, and that's great to see. So that's where I'm at with it. Have you been there before, by the way?
I haven't. No, one of my best friends just moved there, and she lives in the marina as well. And she was kind of not really enjoying the UK, and she's actually fully English. She's from the UK, and she was just kind of her work. They just wasn't kind of vibing with her, and she wasn't getting the job that she really wanted to get. And she moved there, and she got the job that she really wanted. Like, she loves her job, and yeah, and she really likes it, and she says like it just really feels like home to her, even though she's only been there a few months. But yeah, I totally agree with what you said with the whole kind of respect factor. I think even with Iran and things like that, in the media, I think in the Western media, they can say, oh, it's so oppressive, you have to cover your hair and things like that. But I think what's even more oppressive is just kind of not respecting a culture, or doing something on purpose to blatantly disrespect a culture, even though that's kind of what it's like. And
Absolutely.
Dubai has been like that for years and years, and the Middle East has been like that for years and years, so it's not like it's a new thing. But yeah, it was really strange seeing those like influencers, like the orange not all of them, of course, you can't blanket all of them like you said, but like the Essex
I
influencers being
definitely know
like,
what you mean.
I'm a key worker. I think some of them were
I
interviewed on
saw that actually.
ITV.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good entertainment. But yeah, it must be interesting, because I think a few years ago, I think maybe 10 years ago, it wasn't maybe like that. Maybe it was kind of a more high caliber, higher class, people would only go there. But now it's like a lot of kind of very, very young influencers
Yeah,
go
exactly.
there. And mm,
It was more slightly older people going to Dubai, and
yeah,
now it appeals the younger generation, which is, again, it's great to see that. Like, it's great to see
yeah,
a
it's not a bad
place,
thing.
and I highly advise you to go as soon as you can. It's
I
not for
will.
everyone. I've had friends that have gone there that haven't enjoyed it. I've had friends that have gone there that have loved it, and I've had friends that have gone there that say, I need to move here, and they have moved there, and kudos to them.
Right.
So definitely check it out. It's awesome. What I do like about Dubai is, for a small city, I first of all, I miss that small feel. Like, I do miss walking in the shopping center, and every 25-30 minutes you're going to run into someone you recognize,
Oh, I
which
love
does
that.
not
Yeah.
happen in London. When you run into someone you know, is, you're like, wow, I just ran into someone I
Yeah.
knew. And I think you actually did it with our mutual friend Behnaz, and you guys send me a
Yes.
story. Shout out Behnaz. But
Shout out to
yeah,
Behnaz.
yeah. So it's rare when it happens in London, but
Yes.
in a small place like that, it's pretty cool, and especially with the Iranians, it's always good to be in
Yeah.
that area. But
I love that community feeling. If Dubai has that community feeling, then I
absolutely.
think I'd really enjoy it.
Yeah, you definitely need to try it out. So
Yeah, I think in the winter time I'll go.
that's the thing, right? It's like from, let's say, June, although it's still okay, but like July and August is crazy, crazy heat. I don't
Yes.
mind because everywhere is air conditioned over there. I
Yes.
feel like this is turning from the motivational podcast to me being a travel agent. Like, hey guys, you need to go to Dubai. If you haven't, now's your chance. But
Visit Dubai.com.
exactly. So tell me more about your Instagram journey. So yes, you've been super active with the amazing videos. You've done a great job. You're also part of a engagement group, and these, I don't want to say they're becoming popular. They've been around for some time now. Fabletics, shout out Fabletics, and
Yes.
yeah,
Shout
I
out
was
to
gonna say,
Fabletics.
like, you being a brand ambassador, it's awesome to see. How have you found it? How have your colleagues, let's say, been like in that field? And what would your advice be to people that are on Instagram and they want to like be more active and start getting involved with these brands to kind of have partnerships with them? So what's it been like?
Yeah, so I think for me, I'm very much in the very beginner stages of that, of the brand partnerships and things like that. And from there, I only hope to grow. But Fabletics was my first kind of ever partnership, and it was so exciting for me because I had worn that, I had their stuff, and it was great workout clothes for kind of really high quality that don't rip all the time, that if you obviously when you work out you get sweaty, and I think some brands forget that women sweat and they actually need to have really durable fabrics, which sounds really funny, but I think Fabletics actually it was created by a woman. I think it was co-created by Kate Hudson, who's an actress, and so yeah, the stuff is really cool, and I'd worn it and I actually got in touch with them. So I think a lot of people are not afraid of that, but they just don't think of that as an option of the individual getting in touch with the brand themselves. They kind of think, oh yeah, they might reach out to me. And when you're beginning and you've got a couple of hundred followers, like they're not going to reach out to you. No one's going to reach out to you. You have to go yourself and be assertive and do that yourself. And that actually kind of echoes kind of a few things I've done in my life. There were kind of things at university. There were societies and presentations I wanted to do that initially they didn't really need anyone or want anyone to do it, but then I kind of threw myself in and I was like, hey, I want to do this. Can I present on this topic? Can I be a part of this society? So you kind of have to don't be afraid to literally just send an email to a brand and tell them what you can bring to the brand and what you can, being a partnership, it's a two-way relationship. It's not that they're just giving you items so you can promote them. You have to actually tell them that you're bringing value as well. So kind of, even if you are a very small influencer like I am, I'm very small, but you still need to know that you have value. And if you create content and that content goes viral, then that's amazing for them. And from kind of my partnerships, and I post a monthly picture of an outfit they've sent me, and from that I've got so many of my friends messaging me like, hey, which leggings should I get, like what should I buy? And even though
Awesome.
that's kind of very small, all of it adds up, and it's not just me, it's a group of around 50-60 girls. So imagine all of that compounding. And I think a lot of brands now are kind of being smart with their influencers, in that they're using smaller influencers because they're realizing, oh yeah, these girls or guys have impact too. So you don't just need to have like 1 million followers to be able to do these partnerships. So yeah, don't be afraid to reach out and yeah, go for it
That is
yourself.
the golden nugget of this episode. And it goes back to what we discussed earlier as well, which I really appreciate about you. It's We've obviously spoken a few times before, but this is something I did not know and I really respect about you, is not being afraid to reach out and like putting your ego aside and look at,
Oh yeah.
like, look, it's just the beginning. Of course, there's still plenty you want to achieve and you're going to achieve, but look at the importance of breaking down these invisible barriers people set for themselves and say, look, I'm going to reach out to the brand. I like this brand. I'm going to reach out to them and I'm going to, worst case, you get rejected. You move on
They
with life.
say no.
Yeah,
Literally, that's
exactly.
that's literally the worst case that can happen. So
Exactly.
and I think people forget that and they let fear kind of get into them. But yeah.
No, so well done, well done. And I think
Thank you.
anyone that hears this, and this is probably going to be the main kind of promoting clip of the episode, they're going to find tremendous value in it. So no, thank you for that. Have you, and I know again we touched up on this briefly, have you been in touch with any other girls in these engagement groups? How have you found that? Have they been very supportive?
Yeah, so I've been very lucky. Also, my battery is really close to running out. Can I go get my charger?
Yeah, no worries, no worries, go for it. Welcome back. All right, so just a quick break to get your charger. But yeah, I was saying, so how have you found the people in these engagement groups? Have they been supportive? What's it been like?
Yeah, so the girls in the Fabletics engagement groups, I've been very lucky in that they have all been really nice, genuine girls. I got to meet a few of them in events pre-COVID, and it was really interesting because I realized, and again, this is the power of you reaching out. I realized that almost all of the girls that I was in this group with, I was the one with the lowest followers and the kind of the lowest Instagram, I guess, presence. Um, and initially I was like, oh, I have the lowest one. But then I thought, oh, I have the lowest one, which means that I did pretty good to be around all these girls who are like proper influencers and who actually, I think some of them do it for a job. Um, so I think that's kind of the power of it, is that you can actually network and surround yourself by people who, I hope to have a certain number of followers, and I hope to have a certain Instagram presence in a few years, that these girls now do. So I think I've been very lucky in that the girls have been really lovely, really supportive. A few of them we've actually agreed to meet up after COVID, and we talk all the time on Instagram. So it's a good opportunity to definitely put yourself out there and grow. So yeah.
Awesome. And I think you've also got the most to gain being the one with the least followers. That's amazing, right? You're going to be
Right.
catapulted from their followings, like, and get to like a different level. That's amazing. They say again, and we're going to go back to quoting. Yeah, the average of the
I think
five
I know
people you
what
hang out with the most.
I think I was just about to think of that one. Yes, yes. And also they say, I think we have the
YouTube.
same quotes on our,
Yeah.
we have the same quotes on our mind. I think they say, like, if you walk into a room and you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room, right? Like, you should want to learn. So
Yeah. I've also remembered Michael McIntyre saying it's like everyone's got an idiot in their group or something, and if you can't think of them, it's you.
it's you. Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's great to hear, and I like what your goals are and what you're aiming for to get out of the social media, and in the process, you're providing value to people. So you're not just someone asking for followers. You've got a plan in mind. You're like, I need to get to this many. I'll obviously have more access to more people to share my content with and provide more value to, and turn into a hustle as well. Because let's be honest, I mean, a big portion of this is turning it into a hustle on top of providing
Absolutely.
value to people. So
Yeah.
I suppose I've actually made notes of what to ask you because I'm terrible at remembering
Very
everything.
organized.
Exactly. I think I've asked just about everything, but there's one topic again we also touched up on before the podcast, and that is the almighty Clubhouse. Thoughts?
Yes.
I know you said you've had a very small experience through it. It's time consuming. Am I right?
Correct. I think it is time consuming. Unless you kind of make a priority to be active on it, which is wonderful. And I think there's actually people on Clubhouse who are on Clubhouse constantly, literally throughout the day, who are either talking or part of a group. But I think it's just another platform that, if you use it correctly, Clubhouse can be incredibly valuable. If you use it for networking and for discussing topics that maybe you were too afraid to talk about and you just want to hear, then it can be wonderful, or educational, even just like Instagram can be. If you use it the right way, then it can be everything.
Absolutely. I mean, look at us being connected, and now
Right.
we're having this podcast. Look, I'm sure there's a lot of people that slide into those DMs and try and get a very superficial outcome and kind of focus on the wrong things. But Instagram's a great place. I love Instagram. I've been criticized by
Yes.
my wife by spending too much time on it. I see the value of spending too much time on it because it's like I'm trying to run a few kind of ideas that I have on that platform. I'm learning. There's a lot of it's all depending on who you follow as well. If you follow the right people, you're going to constantly get decent content on your homepage.
Bravo,
However, you need
that's
to be
it.
careful of paralysis by analysis. So you still need to take
Ooh,
action. Yeah, still
yes.
need to take action. I think Gary Vee said that, paralysis by analysis. But it's great to see content and valuable motivational content, but what are you going to do with it? So sometimes even I have to drop that phone. I find myself, for example, in my reading time, I have to put my phone in another room, because the second I see one Bitcoin price go up and down, forget Instagram. I need to be on that phone and check prices. So my personal 2 cents in this matter. But yeah, do you find how do you deal with the current modern problem of people being too addicted to their phone?
Oh God, I am quite an addict as well, and it's something that I'm working on. But it's the thing with Instagram, and going back to Instagram, the thing is, what you just said is so good about paralysis. Don't get paralysis by analysis, right?
Yeah.
Because on Instagram especially, we're scrolling and you could see incredible content. You could see the most wonderful quote. You could see something super educational, like my video or something else. You could see
Hell yeah.
something great. Just a little shameless plug there. um, but you could see something great. But what we tend to do on Instagram is to keep scrolling. And I heard someone talk about this recently. I can't remember who, but they were saying how you could literally you have value on your Instagram and you could be following all the right people, but if you just keep scrolling and you don't actually digest a certain post, or you don't actually think, oh yeah, what does that quote mean, or oh yeah, what could I do with that piece of information, then you're kind of missing the point, which in a way scares me a little bit. So I was saying how Instagram is wonderful if you use it correctly, but I kind of want to get to that point where if I see something or hear something groundbreaking to me, I kind of want to be able to stop for a second and be like, wow, okay, this is this just links something else in my brain and I can do this, and I can get value from this post from some way. So yeah, I think if you overuse your phone, which I think we all do to an extent, you can become immune to that a little bit. You can become immune to the wonderful, parts of the internet which are really helpful and valuable, which I really don't want to become immune to. Um, but again, it's like, how many hours is correct? Does anyone actually fully know? Like, because I sometimes take meetings on my phone and things like that. So it can be very easy to become addicted to it, I think.
Yeah, definitely. There's so much I rely on my phone for, like my investments, social media. It's actually reached a point where it's like I've gotten really bad at certain social media platforms. Like I've got probably a clutter of Facebook messages. I don't even check my Facebook messages
Right.
anymore. I
Okay.
say reach me on WhatsApp or Instagram. That's it. That's the only two places I respond. But or
Yes.
phone calls. I love talking to people. I was like, call me, man. Let's have a conversation. Missed your voice. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's very tricky. There's a book I read called Hooked. Again, I don't want to butcher the scientific explanation, but it's talking about like the human mind seeking variable rewards, and that is why we are addicted to all these games on our phones and social medias, because we're looking for something different. The second you get something that's consistent and you get used to it, you get bored. So we're looking for variable results, sorry, and hence why people love casinos and the roulette machine, because you're paying for something you have no idea where you're going to get. It's going to be different every time. You could either win money or you could lose money. So
Yeah.
that's the formula that these companies are applying to these phones and these apps to keep you on there. The Social Dilemma, great documentary. If you guys haven't seen it, make sure you watch. Have you seen it,
Oh,
Zara?
I haven't. I'm going to add it to my mental list of things to
Definitely do.
watch.
Yeah. Have you seen Seaspiracy, by the way?
No, I haven't actually.
Seaspiracy, yeah.
So this is, yeah,
Yeah.
everyone's kind of watching
Everyone's posting it like about it on the
these.
stories.
Yes.
I've gotten 10
Yes,
minutes in. I
they
still
are.
need to finish it, but it looks quite interesting, and gives you kind of access to a whole different problem that we're going through. So um yeah, I
Very
feel
much
weird
so.
watching anything food related on Netflix, because um again, I'm trying to sort my diet out more, but I still love a good burger
Hmm.
and I still love good fish here and there. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be tough.
I agree. I'm the exact same, because I think I have very good friends of mine who are fully vegan, and they're very passionate vegans, as you should be. If you want to, be passionate about a topic, then I think that's wonderful. But the thing is, again, with these documentaries, I'm very kind of concerned about which ones I watch, because they get into your head, and I think they're designed that way to really get into your head, whether it's the about the fishing, or I think years ago, I think 2 or 3 years ago, there was a Netflix documentary called What the Health, and
Yes,
that kind
yes.
of went, do you remember that? That went crazy. And you have to be, I think absolutely watch them, but I think you do have to kind of be careful about some of what they say, and where these companies are funded and things like that, and like where these documentaries are funded, because I think in one scene they said a boiled egg is as bad for you as like 10 cigarettes. And for me, I was just like, that makes no sense. And I don't think scientifically, if we really delve into it, and if we really delve into, why animal protein and animal fats are bad for you and things like that, then it still wouldn't equate. So I think it's great for awareness to watch these things. But again, I'm kind of very skeptical sometimes about what I watch, because I do love vegan food, and I do actually try and eat plant-based at least 3 or 4 times a week. But I love a good burger. We're Iranian. We're like,
Cholo
we
kebab
eat
all day. Hit me up.
literally like shallow kebab, like give me the korma sabzi, the qeime, the like everything, and they've all got meat in them.
Yeah.
So and I like to have that. If someone like my mum, who's like an incredible cook, makes it, of course I'm going to have it. But again, yeah, these documentaries are really interesting. And again, things like, for example, Tiger King, like that was an era, wasn't
Oh,
it, for us? That was like
that was
crazy.
I know I said keep away from the entertainment, but that was,
Uh,
I mean, if you were to walk into a Hollywood studio and you were to pitch that as a movie, not reality TV, but as a movie, they would say, "Get out my office, you're crazy." But
literally,
yet you've got the real version of it happening. I mean,
yeah.
wow, mind blowing. And yeah, I think Joe Exotic asked for a pardon from Donald Trump, which he did not get, unfortunately. But isn't that crazy though? Isn't that crazy that we're so much of a fan of the bad guys in life? I mean, people love Pablo Escobar. People love Joe Exotic. The guy, I don't want to give away the documentary. I mean, if you haven't seen it by now, then it's your fault. But like,
That's your own fault.
people,
Yeah.
yeah, people want to support someone that like hired someone to kill someone. So it's crazy how much, or like Heath Ledger's Joker, for example, how much do people identify with that character? Even Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, like people love the Joker character. It's like all the things you want to be. That like what's the word I'm looking for?
Alter ego.
Alter ego. Yes, can't get my English right now, but like your alter ego, and it's someone's like kind of persona that into reality, and you're like, I support this guy. I want them to do well, even though they represent everything that's not right by the guidelines of what it is to be a good person. So it's insane how the human brain works.
Yeah, and I think because Hollywood does glamorize these things, Hollywood and Netflix is a big player now in what we watch. It didn't used to be. Like 10 years ago, it was just the Hollywood films that were made, and the series, and HBO, and all these different production companies. But now Netflix is really, in a way, in my opinion, glamorizing some of this, whether that's good or bad. Maybe it's a sign of the times, maybe it's just kind of what we are feeling. And even with people like Trump, like I think you mentioned, people like that, they, even though he has a lot of haters, let's be honest, there's a lot of people who love him, even if we put
Yeah,
the
yeah,
politics to
50% of the
aside.
US basically.
Yeah, they love him, and maybe he's got a lot of also secret fans who that we don't even know. So it's interesting. So yeah, maybe it is a sign of the times, or maybe it's the way they're portrayed, and how kind of maybe courageous, or they don't give a shit about anything. I'm actually rewatching The Sopranos,
Oh
which
wow,
is like,
I'm guilty of please do not shame me.
add it to
I've
your
never
list,
seen The
it's
Sopranos.
fine.
Yes, yes. I
So
mean,
I
it's
think,
on the list.
yeah, I genuinely think you'd love it here, Bod. You really, I think it's like, it's probably one of the best TV shows I've ever seen. and it's just made so differently to every other TV show. And the main guy, I'm not going to give anything away, but the main guy, Tony Soprano, he's like a head of a big mafia
Love him as
organization
an
in New.
actor. He's a great actor.
He's James Gandolfini, right? R.I.P.
Yeah.
He's
R.I.P. by the way.
he's a wonderful actor, and he's the whole series, I think it's 6 seasons long. It's so great, and you're kind of torn whether to love him or hate him, because he's like killing people and he's head of the mafia in New Jersey, and he's doing all these bad things, but at the same time he's a family man. It's like Pablo Escobar. It's like that contrast.
It's like that Michael Corleone character.
Right, exactly. And I actually rewatched Godfather Part 2 recently as well, and that's like stellar film.
I mean, every time I watch them, they get better. They seem to get better. On Bad Guys, actually, I would disagree with you on the greatest TV show, although I can't disagree with you because I haven't seen The Sopranos.
You haven't seen it, yes.
But for me, the greatest TV show has to be House of Cards. Kevin Spacey is the ultimate. That TV show was the ultimate. I think they nailed everything from cinematics to music to the actors to the storyline. I mean, Kevin Spacey, love him or hate him, regardless of the allegations he had, the guy is phenomenal at what he does. I was one of the people, I was like, please let him film from prison. Just let us like, I want this show to continue. It can't stop. And there was a joke that they were like, Kevin Spacey didn't even know the camera was on during the filming of House of Cards. He was just being himself.
Right.
So
yes,
he is scary good at that role. And if you haven't, have you seen it? You haven't, right?
I'm gonna have to do what you did and put my hands up and say I haven't actually, but I don't know how I can admit this, but I'm a big Kevin Spacey as an actor fan. I think he's
same.
Like he's like his films, American Beauty, Usual Suspects. Like if you haven't seen The Usual Suspects, like that's like mind blowing. So I think again, I agree with you. He's wonderful at what he does, and I think there's a case of separating the art from the artist, because I think obviously
always say that. I always say that. I love that you've just said that. That's awesome. You got to separate what their craft is, what they do, from who the person is. It's two different things. That's our opinion. I mean, some people might disagree, but
they might,
You cannot deny that this guy. Okay, again, if you're a big fan of Kevin Spacey, you'll be upset that House of Cards is still not being filmed. So I'll just say that much. Start watching that show, and the next episode I have you on, we're gonna have a recap of your experience on House of Cards and my experience of The Sopranos. So I'm looking forward to that. But we covered quite a bit today, and I feel like time's flew by. Yeah, thank you so much for making time to come on the podcast. I think a lot of people get value from this, and I look forward to having you back on, especially for our our TV show catch up. But where can, besides your Instagram handle, is there anywhere else where you're sharing content, or is it just Instagram that people can find you? Please let us know. Plug anything you want to plug right now. Go for it. This podcast is yours.
Yes. Well, I think on Instagram is my main kind of platform. So @It's Zahra Nia is my Instagram account. Feel free to reach me there. I answer almost all DMs. But yeah, I've got a lot of kind of cool reels coming up and videos, and I also do videos about being Iranian, and about the New Year that's just passed. So yeah, if you want to kind of see cool, fun science videos presented in an interesting way and just nice content, science, tech, and Iranian related, then follow me on @It's Zahra Nia. That's another shameless plug.
No, thank you very much. And I'll include it in the show notes, of course. Ladies and gentlemen, perfect. Zahra Nia. And I want to end with the famous quote from Jesse Pinkman from Breaking Bad: "Science, bitch." Thank you for
Science,
joining, Zahra.
bitch.
Take care.
Thanks.